Joining us on the phone lines, winner of the 52nd annual All That's Metal Oxford 250 up at Oxford Plains Speedway this past week, the one and only from Gray, Maine, Austin Teras. Austin, welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So quite a weekend for you. Before we jump into all of that, for those who might not know you, how'd you catch the racing bug, Austin?
I was kind of bred into my family, you know, like my grandfather raced and my dad raced, and, well, I didn't know any better.
So solid week up at Oxford Plains this past week, culminating with the win. And, of course, that was a race car that the 2024 Oxford 250 winner, Jeff Taylor, helped build, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Jeff built the chassis. It's a little bit different than the usual distance car. Some things we thought might work better, you know, with what we've learned over the years. And we finished it up in our shop, you know, from the chassis up. And, well, we built it just for Oxford, and it did its job.
So take us through the schedule and the week that was up at Oxford. Obviously, there's qualifying races, all of that. So for the listener who might not be too common with the Oxford 250, tell us a little bit about the weekend.
Well, you got a load-in day on Thursday, and usually, you know, you take the opportunity to make some test laps. And we did, because that was the first day on a brand-new engine that we got Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. of 250 week. Bad timing to be testing out a brand new engine, but we didn't really have a choice, and we put some laps on it Thursday, moved on to Friday to the 150 they had there, and I ran the backup car. We ran third to DJ and Garrett, I believe, and then Saturday's practice, Sunday's the big one.
Reading up on your win, Austin, your dad has been trying to win this race since the early 80s, and never got the opportunity to do it. So how did it feel to bring home a win for not just yourself, but the entire family?
It meant the world. I mean, I knew what that race meant to him, and being one of the few that he hadn't already got, it was kind of cool to get him that, you know, and it meant the world to me. I like to think it meant the world to my family, too. So
talk to us about race day itself on Sunday, the car setup, anything like that, and how the night progressed for you to find victory lane.
Yeah, I mean, that car, we don't make much changes on. It's really, really good at nighttime, and we knew that. During the hot, greasy sun, we knew we had a good car. We made it in through the qualifying heats, and we just made some final adjustments on the shocks. I was talking to Brandon Ernest because I didn't like the way the car was landing on the bump stops, so we made a quick adjustment for that, and then we went into the race, and, you know, we had what we had.
I was up there 2 years ago for the rain-delayed one, and it got cold there at night. What was the weather like up there on Sunday for the 250 this year?
It actually, all day, it never really got super hot. Historically, August, you can have, you know, 90-degree days, but Sunday stayed right. I think it got into the 80s, but as soon as the sun started to dissipate out, it fell down into the 70s, and then I believe it even got into the 60s by the end of the race.
Beautiful. So not a bad night there.
Hey, Austin.
It was better than it being 100 degrees.
Absolutely.
Austin, this is Jim. I got maybe a few questions for you. I guess really, I mean, you're 22 years old, and you've won probably the oldest, most prestigious race in the Northeast. What is your career plans? Is this just going to be a family thing where you're going to race as a hobby on weekends, or do you have any plans to go further up, the old Busch North Series 8, whatever they're calling it today, but or do you have other interests besides racing that, you know, maybe is there a family business or something that you aspire to do besides racing?
Well, as of right now, I mean, we just race full time. We race in Canada, we race out in Berlin, New Smyrna, everywhere in between, but I don't have any big aspirations to go in the the big machine that is the NASCAR world, but racing super late models at a high level is what interests me.
So, tell us a little bit about some of the schedule you've got coming up the rest of the season in the series that you're running the Pastor.
Yeah, I think so. This coming weekend, we make a trip up the mid-coast to Wiscasset for their big race, the Boss Hog 150, and then following weekend, we got a doubleheader, a 100-lap race at Oxford and a pass race at Oxford Sunday. And then I think we actually have a little bit of time off because there's a pass race at Star, but we're not going to that. And then the pass 400 at Oxford at the end of the year, got $100,000 up for grabs. And then we go to the Freedom Factory with the UARA Tour in Florida, and that's all I have planned for the rest of the year.
For such a long race like the 250 is, how much do you value track position versus fresh tires?
Well, I mean, it depends on everything. If your car's good on old tires, you can sacrifice a little bit to keep the track position, because the downside of pitting is you get them good tires, but there can be a wreck in front of you that had nothing to do with you, and it just ends your day, you know?
How excited are you to go to the Freedom Factory? I love watching Cletus's videos there.
I'm pretty excited, The Freedom Factory and Cletus obviously are pretty cool in their own right, but racing with the UARA Tour and Ricky Brooks is always a great time. So, and who doesn't want to get away from Maine in late November and get some warm weather?
Any thoughts or any plans at some point on running over at Thunder Road?
Thunder Road doesn't have a lot of races for us. Like, I don't think there's any past races there, and, we're not big crate motor guys, so act racing isn't our thing.
I gotcha. How about coming down to our neck of the woods? Have you been down to Seekonk yet, or any plans to try to get down to Seekonk and race?
I've actually raced Seekonk a lot in my life. When we ran legend cars, we raced there on Wednesdays or Thursdays, whatever day they raced, because Waterford, I think, raced Wednesdays. But I don't know. Either day they race, we race there a ton, and the late models don't have a ton of big races there, and we like races that, are maybe a little bit higher paying than the past races are at that particular track.
You've won a handful of Legends Car Championships at Oxford. How much did that experience help you with going up into the past tour and eventually winning last weekend's race?
I mean, you learn racecraft. Every lap around the racetrack, you're learning. Like, you never stop learning. It doesn't matter if it's your 1,000th race or your first race. You learn something every time. So it definitely helped as far as, like, the line and stuff. As far as that stuff goes, legend cars and late models are kind of different. But you had to drive a race car that didn't drive so good, and that brought us, like, into learning how to save tires,
You were also the only Ford in the field at Oxford. Is that a choice that your team made with the chassis or the body, or have you guys been supported by Ford? What's the deal with that?
Unfortunately, there is no Ford backing for us. We wish there was, because we are born with the Ford blood in our veins, and there won't ever be a bow tie under the hood of our race car.
Well, we're all Ford guys here, so we'd like to hear that.
So,
absolutely.
Do you, not to interrupt, but being that you're Ford folks, with Dave Dion, have you ever spent much time with Dave Dion and getting help and getting the Ford engine with the different torque curve and thing like that? Or is it just something you've kind of always done yourself?
Well, the Dions are actually quite intertwined with my family. I've known Dave my entire life, and, now he's down in Florida hanging out, but Roger and Paul have still to this day helped me. I got a text from Roger Dion at 1:30 a.m. after the 250 asking me what we were up to, and I don't think Paul stopped calling all week. Paul was mad we didn't pit for 2 tires during that race.
So, talk to us a little bit about some of the people who help get the car to the track each week, sponsors, family, friends, folks like that.
Yeah, I mean, we have GT overhead door with Dwayne Greeton. He's been helping me since I was in go-karts. I don't remember racing without his name on my cart. And we got so many other people. Harold Hawks, Brandon Ernest does so much to help us out. There's no way we could have won that race without Brandon. And Jeff Taylor has done an incredible amount of things for me in my racing career to make me a better driver and build better race cars. We had structural woodworking on for that event. There's the people in the pits are even more helpful than them guys because those are the ones that keep your day rolling, you know?
Absolutely. You've gotten to race a couple against a couple of good names up there at Oxford. Of course, the 250 can bring out some of the stars and cars there. Who maybe a name that might stand out that you've really enjoyed racing with up there?
Well, last year in the 300, Kyle Busch drove my race car, and ever since then we've kind of formed a pretty good friendship, and we raced together more than I ever would have thought lately, and we've done a lot of stuff during the race to work together to make the races go better, and that's been enjoyable and helpful at the same time.
Excellent. Anybody wants to catch you at the track, how can they do so? You got social media channels, anything like that?
Yeah, I don't have a racing page or anything. I just got the Facebook with my name and Instagram, and, you know, you can come visit us in person at any racetrack. We love to hang out and talk and meet everybody.
And last question for you. You got a place picked out for the trophy from the 250?
I don't yet. It's sitting right beside the race car on the surface plate, but I'm thinking we might have to look into having a cabinet made.
There you go. Winner of the 52nd All That's Metal Oxford 250 up at Oxford Plains Speedway this past week in Maine, the one and only Austin Teras joining us here in our In the Turn interview tonight. Pleasure to talk to you, and we'll catch you at the track soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.